When you think of electric cars, you most likely think of Tesla. The automaker has done more in the last 10 years to push EVs into the mainstream than any other company. But despite their hard work, Tesla is more of a lifestyle brand than a car manufacturer. But before the fanboys click off this video, let's actually look at some of the data to better understand Tesla's production capabilities. According to Inside EVs, Tesla produced over 900,000 EVs in 2021. That isn't even a million cars. To put that into perspective, around 80 million cars were produced in 2021. According to ACEA, in 2021, 79.1 million motor vehicles were produced around the world, an increase of 1.3% compared to 2020. And in 2019, it was estimated that 1.4 billion cars were operated globally. As you can see, Tesla is a relatively small automaker compared to the entire auto industry. Although they are the largest EV maker in the world, their price tags make them a luxury product, which means moving forward they will not be able to provide EVs for the masses. Despite what you might think or want, Tesla will not be the Ford or Toyota of the EV industry, which means your first EV will most likely not be a Tesla. So where does that leave us? If Tesla's price tags are too high for the average car buyer, and they can't mass produce an affordable EV, which company or companies will be able to supply this demand? Regardless of your personal feelings, Chinese companies are the only ones that are actively pursuing EV production at scale in cost. So in this video, I will introduce you to the major players within China's EV industry and explain why China is so aggressively pushing EVs. So let's jump right in with an overview of the EV market in China. I was recently invited to Guangdong by GDToday to explore the area and check out some of the high-tech industries that operate there. One of the places we visited was BYD's headquarters. BYD is a Chinese automaker that has invested heavily into EVs. In 2021, BYD sold around 593,000 new energy passenger vehicles, including 320,810 battery electric vehicles and 272,935 plug-in hybrid electric vehicles. According to ZDNet, of the 4.2 million EVs delivered in the first half of 2022, 2.4 million were delivered to Chinese consumers, making up 57% of the total global EV market. And the Chinese market is expected to grow even larger in the next few years. There are currently about 6 or 7 major EV manufacturers in China, which include BYD, XPeng, SAIC Motors, Tesla, Geely, GAC Motors, and NIO. There are also many other players in the market, but they are smaller or haven't committed the same resources to developing EVs. Since BYD is the largest Chinese manufacturer of EVs, and I had the opportunity to visit their headquarters recently, let's talk more about their efforts and future. BYD officially entered the automotive industry in 2003, and by 2008, BYD rolled out the world's first mass-produced plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. They took a full market approach to manufacturing EVs, and now they are the only company to master the core technologies needed to produce an EV, including motors, electronic controls, batteries, and semiconductors. They have created a new battery system that is safer, and I was even given a demonstration while at their headquarters. It was interesting to learn more about BYD, and I was even given a test ride in their latest EVs. So we just arrived here at BYD, and they're showing us around. We actually just saw a pretty cool explosion because they were testing their batteries, and they showed us what the traditional batteries look like and kind of how their batteries perform under the same conditions. And now we're going to go test drive some of their cars. We took these cars out for a little ride. These are their electric cars, which are actually quite comfortable and very smooth. If you've ever been in an electric car, obviously you know that the acceleration and just the general feel of an electric car is quite nice. So we went around the compound. We didn't take them out onto the road, but we went around the compound real quick. I'm not really a car guy, but it's really beautiful. And if you have to get a car, might as well get one of these because they're really smooth, and they're not too expensive either. Like the different tiers, you can get some that are pretty cheap, 10,000 to 15,000 for their kind of entry level cars. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. Just checking out their headquarters here. One of the main reasons BYD has become popular and has a good chance to dominate the Chinese market in global markets moving forward is their price tags. Their most affordable EV model, the Dolphin, costs around $15,000 in China, which is considerably less than the starting price for a Tesla Model 3, which starts around $43,000 in China. Of course, both models can be upgraded and improved, which increases the price, but you get the idea. As more countries mandate and offer incentives to EV consumers, companies like BYD will have a better chance of capturing the global market. Despite what we all aspire to own, price is still a major factor when buying a car, especially in developing economies. A good example of this is the Wuling Mini. This EV by SAIC, GM, and Wuling took the market by storm in 2020. The Mini EV had a price starting around $4,100 and topping out around $5,600 for a fully loaded model. The ease of customization along with the price tag made this EV popular with both young and old drivers. With only 6 months in the market, the Mini EV sold around 120,000 units in 2020 and ranked as the world's second best-selling plug-in car after the Tesla Model 3. Although this model will be hard to export due to safety regulations, it is clear that people are looking for an affordable EV alternative, which is where companies like BYD will shine in the coming years. But why are so many Chinese automakers focused on EVs? At the start of the video, I said I would introduce some of the major players in the industry and talk about why China is pushing automakers to make EVs. The main reason China is pushing so hard to develop the EV industry is threefold. The first reason is the most obvious, which is China has limited access to crude oil. If you don't have access to crude, but you have the ability to produce a lot of electricity with coal and renewables, then it makes perfect sense to switch to EVs. The second reason, which is more of a cover for the first reason, is environmental protection. China has long been criticized for its pollution problems, and it has been the focus of the government for the last few years. By focusing on EVs and renewables, China is able to claim they are improving the environment by reducing carbon emissions. But will EVs actually improve the environment in China? Probably not, if the electricity is still coming from coal power plants. If China can develop a cleaner source of energy through the use of renewables, nuclear, or fusion, and the EV fleet is already in service, then it will improve the environment. Unfortunately, this isn't the case right now because most of China's power is still coming from coal. So this reason, although important in the future, is currently more useful for media and news reports. And finally, the third reason for China's push into EVs is the reason GDToday invited me to Guangdong, which is high-tech development. Chinese companies want to dominate industries of the future, and they have identified EVs as the transportation of the future. Legacy car manufacturers have been slow to produce and develop EVs, which has given Chinese car manufacturers a chance to capture this growing market. Chinese car companies have had a difficult time breaking into well-established markets with Chinese-branded cars. These markets, like the US and Europe, are oversaturated with well-established brands, making it difficult for Chinese cars to enter. But the EV market is completely different. With only 1 or 2 major players in each market, and with legacy companies like Ford and GM not fully committing to EVs, Chinese companies have a real chance to lead and develop this market at home and abroad. This is the main reason for the title of this video. Why your first EV will probably not be a Tesla, but a Chinese EV like BYD or NIO. Chinese EV companies are developing faster than legacy automakers, and although Tesla is currently in the lead, BYD is closing the gap quickly, and within 5 years they should be the largest producer of EVs in the world. They are currently increasing their market share in the Chinese market and actively opening up new markets around the world. With a more affordable price tag, high quality designs, and new factories that can mass produce EVs, BYD is poised to dominate the global EV market. And after driving one and seeing their headquarters, I have to say I'm impressed with BYD. I want to say thank you to GDToday for inviting me to Guangdong, and thanks to BYD for letting me visit their headquarters. Also, I have a question for you. Would you be willing to own a Chinese EV? Leave a comment below, and don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more videos. And if you want to watch something else, I have another video here that I think you would like.